Today, let's talk about the 6 different rules that insurance companies have to follow when they're dealing with your claim. The first is the insurance company has to adjust your claim fairly. This can be interpreted a lot of different ways, but essentially, if an insurance company is going to underpay your claim or deny your claim, they have to have a reason to do so. They can't just act in an arbitrary manner or in a capricious manner. They can't just decide not to pay your claim. If they're going to adjust your claim, they have to have a reason for reaching the decision that they made. Now, if they fail to do so, you might have a cause of action for penalties, attorney fees, and court costs on top of the loss you had. The second rule that insurance companies have to follow is that they can't make misrepresentations in adjusting your claim. This is important because it's amazing to me how often insurance companies or their representatives will say something that's either not true at all or is slightly untrue when they're adjusting a claim. This is problematic in Louisiana because it has serious repercussions. If an insurance company makes a misrepresentation in adjusting your claim, again, they may open themselves up for additional penalties on top of the amount of the loss that you suffered. The third rule that insurance companies have to follow deals with explaining the policy. If you, as an insured, ask for a copy of the policy, they have to give it to you. But it goes much further than that. It's not simple enough to just provide the policy. If they are going to deny your claim, or if they are going to underpay your claim, the insurance company has to explain how they reached that decision from a standpoint of your insurance policy. For example, some insurance policies have a mold limit where insurance companies claim to only provide $5,000 of coverage for mold. Well, if they're going to apply a $5,000 limitation on your damages for mold, they need to point you to the provision of the policy. It's not a bright line rule that they have to attach the exact provision or the exact page, but again, if they don't have a basis for reaching that decision, they place themselves in serious danger of owing you additional funds beyond the amount of your loss. Similarly, if your claim is going to be denied, then they need to explain the basis for that denial. That's because this gives you a fair chance to make your claim and to push your claim further. It's not enough for an insurance company simply to write you a letter saying your claim's denied. That would allow us to reasonably conclude that the insurance company doesn't really have a basis for denying your claim in the first place. Of course, if they don't have a basis for denying your claim, then they would owe you additional funds beyond the amount of the loss. Number 4, you have a right to have any denial by the insurance company explained to you. Now, what we expect from an insurance company and what we typically see is that if they're not going to accept your claim and instead they're going to deny it, they would send a letter explaining why they're denying your claim. Not just the policy provisions they're basing it off of, but also whatever facts they're basing it off of. For example, are they not paying your hail claim because they claim that you didn't have your roof properly installed? Then they need to explain that to you. The 5th rule that insurance companies have to follow is what we call timely adjustment of the claim. Now, what this means is after you report your loss, insurance companies have a certain amount of time that they have in order to actually initiate adjustment of the claim. This might be in the form of having someone come out, or this might be in the form of starting to handle your claim remotely. But bottom line, insurance companies in Louisiana, after having a loss properly reported to them, cannot ignore your claim. They have a limited amount of time. Now, this amount of time changes depending on the type of event and if there's a disaster. But either way, it protects you and it makes sure that an insurance company cannot just sit on your claim indefinitely while they do nothing. The 6th and final rule that insurance companies must follow is timely payment. Of course, this is the one that's often most important to policyholders. Once an insurance company agrees to pay you some certain amount, they have to pay it to you. They can't condition that based on some kind of release or some kind of dismissal. If the insurance company acknowledges they owe you money, they have to make what's called an unconditional tender, and they have to do it within a certain amount of time. We see this all the time with late payments. When a payment is made late, we often file suit for bad faith because, again, insurance companies don't have any discretion. They have to pay within the amount of time allowed by law. If you're finding yourself in a situation where your insurance company has agreed to pay you, but they're not paying you timely, they may have opened themselves up to again have to pay penalties even though the claim was essentially done. By the way, this timely payment provision includes partial payments. So even if they're not paying enough for your whole claim, they still have to pay what they do agree they owe you within the amount of time allowed by law. If you're having trouble with your insurance company not meeting their duty to adjust your claim fairly, if you're having trouble with your insurance company making misrepresentations in the handling of your claim, not explaining the policy, not explaining denials, failing to adjust your claim timely, or failing to make timely payment, then you should consider hiring an experienced legal team that knows how to handle these types of claims and will hold the insurance company accountable for not following the 6 rules that they must follow.